to me, Glyphy.
She looks sick. What's up, guys? I'm Glyphix, and I love Dune. I've read all the books. I initially started out just like, I'll read the first one, see what this is all about, and could not stop reading. I read all 6 of them, and they are huge, back to back, straight after one another. I just could not stop. And as you've all probably heard, there is a new Dune movie coming out this year. So the old movies, and there is a few of them and a couple of TV shows thrown in there, they're all a bit iffy. You know, there's some good in there, there's some bad in there, but they all change certain things which has a big impact on the universe. Now, I don't mind if people want to take, creative choices, but some of the things that they do are just strange, and it's just, overly weird, low budget kind of sci-fi vibe. But this movie, which is being directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did Dark Knight Rises and those films, who's an awesome director. He also did the new Blade Runner. He has got a huge budget for this thing. This is AAA title, and I fully am hyped. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Okay, so there's 4 basic reasons why I'm hyped for this. First is that it's Denis Villeneuve. Second is that Dune is awesome, and the more movies and media we get, the better. Third is that the screens so far, we don't even have a trailer, but the shots look very good. They look like how Dune should look, kind of thing. And fourth, Quinn's ideas of Ice and Fire. Quinn is super hyped, and he is the biggest fan of Dune I've ever seen. So I'm going to link his channel in the description, because he's been doing a ton of content around this movie, and he's super knowledgeable about Dune in general. So it's really good to see that he's excited. Like, that's a good sign. Okay, so first up, like I said, Denis Villeneuve was director on The Dark Knight and has also done things like Blade Runner. Now, yes, he's obviously a good director, but the point here is those films have a kind of gritty realism to them that fits the Dune universe really, really well. It's not all shiny and neat and tidy and good and bad and all that stuff. It's all very, very mixed. There's a lot of not prim and perfect technology. In fact, there's not a whole lot of technology in a way as well. And also the morals of Dune are like the best part of it. Everything is grey. Nothing is black and white. I mean, sure, you have your classic evil characters like the Baron, but the main characters and the main story is completely grey. And that is what makes this book so captivating and so good. The gritty realism will really fit this as well, because like I said, it's a very tough atmosphere that they're living in on Dune, and it's violent, it's unkind, nobody wants you to be there. The environment is out to kill everybody, basically. Okay, secondly, yeah, Dune's awesome. It's really good. It is the basis of so much of sci-fi, you would not believe it. Star Wars took from it heavily. All kinds of sci-fi is basically built on the startings of Dune. There's a reason that it is like the most best-selling sci-fi book of all time. It really is that good. And it's not just, the story in this book is good, but the entire universe is so well filled out and built that everything makes sense. It's kind of like with Lord of the Rings, and the entire world has been built out. The history, you can go back thousands of years and there's something written about it and it makes sense with what's happening now. Okay, so the third thing is that the shots we've had from the set so far look amazing. The costumes look great. The setting looks great. The kind of feel of it, although it's obviously hard to get, looks fantastic. And costumes are a big thing, because in many of the previous ones, we've had some weird looking costumes. And I know it's kind of because they were a bit more budget, and back in the 80s and 90s, sci-fi was a little bit, they really wanted to go way out there and go as strange as possible. In this, it's got that realistic feel, which Denis Villeneuve is so good at. I mean, you can see in some of these screens the carryover from The Dark Knight by Denis Villeneuve as well. I mean, look at these still suits. These look great. This is what I had in my head. Or, I mean, maybe it wasn't, because whenever you think, oh, that's what I had in my head, it's really your mind playing tricks on you. But you either go that way or you say, that looks nothing like I imagined. And it's good that it looks like what I imagined, or at least what I think I imagined. So this one's from Caladan, which is the homeworld planet. So maybe it's a flashback. Maybe we start off there. Not too sure, because in the book, we start off on their home planet, but only very briefly, and then they go to Dune. Dune is the actual sand planet, whereas Caladan is like a beautiful place with water and trees. It's basically Earth, but pretty much. And whilst this makes sense, like, I like the outfit in the sense that it is simple. He's got that moody look, and, you know, it's possibly a little bit Kylo Ren-y for me. Again, this is only like a small part of the story. Either they're going to do it in flashback, or we'll be there for a small amount of time. Now, this is Chani, which is the love interest of the story. Notice the eyes. So one of the things that was really bad about previous movies was that the Fremen's eyes glowed blue, really bright. So they go blue because they're addicted to spice, which is the whole point of this entire series is spice. Before, they would be given real glowing, as in actually like glowing eyes, which was just kind of silly. I mean, firstly, it's not described like that in the books. Regardless of that, it just kind of looks silly. It makes them look a bit supernatural almost. These have this deep blue tinge to them, which I really, really like. I mean, these ones are relatively subtle, you know, they're not out there glowing. It's a sign of their addiction, and they're not otherworldly creatures, although they, you know, spice does allow you certain powers. Yeah, it's a much more subtle look, which I think works a lot better for the story and for a movie. Now, in the books, the still suits technically would come all the way over your head down to here, and then also have a mouthpiece as well. Because the still suit, the whole purpose of it is to retain all your body's moisture, and you obviously lose a lot of moisture from your breath coming from your mouth, which is why you try and breathe through your nose. I get why they wouldn't include that. Again, creative reasons. It would be kind of annoying if all the characters constantly had half of their faces covered, you know? So that's fine. It makes sense. So moving on now to Liet Kynes. Now, there is a bit of drama, controversy. That's such an extreme word because it's just not really accurate. In the book, this character is a man. There's some people online, and mainly I've heard about this from Quinn, who is really against all the people saying, oh, it should be a man. Why is it a woman? All that stuff. I'm inclined to agree with him. But the point is, this character, their manliness, them being a man, doesn't define them. And the thing is, in so much of literature and movies, being a man or a woman doesn't define the character. Now, maybe back in the day it did, when, you know, men were the strong ones, women were the needing to be saved ones, and changing it back when we still had those kinds of opinions, yeah, it wouldn't make sense. But in modern times, changing a man to a woman basically has no impact, because any of the features that in the olden days, you know, may have signified them being a man or a woman, none of that actually really applies anymore. Because we're a more modern society, a man can be heroic, a woman can be heroic, and it doesn't really matter. So it has absolutely no impact on the characters whatsoever. But regardless of that, Liet Kynes being a man or woman has absolutely no impact on the story, and it really doesn't matter. The point is, she looks sick. That outfit looks sick. I really hope that they have so much of a focus on the sand and the dunes themselves as they do in these images. I just think it looks so cool having these characters with their really detailed costumes standing out against this backdrop of pure sand. But yeah, she looks sick. I love it. Okay, so here we see a bit of the armor. I actually, in my head, never pictured the armor like this. Now, they don't tend to wear that much. The reason being that everybody relies on shields. So in the books, they have these personal shield projectors that won't let any laser beams pass through, right? But it will allow swords and stuff to pass through if you can push it slowly enough and controlled enough. For that reason, they tend to wear very light armor that promotes movement and, you know, going quickly, because it tends to be hand-to-hand combat. So when I saw these images of the armor, It's a bit weird, but it could be, I could have misread something there, because when they're on Dune, the sandworms get attracted to shield generators, meaning that they can't really use them when they're on Dune. So maybe that is why we see a heavier kind of armor here. I mean, regardless of what I think compared to the book, it still looks cool. You know, it's very simple, modern. It's very Villeneuve. You know, you can see the Dark Knight Rises in here again. And yeah, again, looks really cool. So here we have one of the Bene Gesserit. So these are a secretive sect of women who have been, you know, over centuries and centuries molding the universe in certain ways. And previous movies and things got these guys, they did them bad, man. They did them so bad because they would be given bald heads and really outlandish outfits with huge cuffs coming up and all kinds of things. This is just straight Jedi look, and I love it. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're just copying Star Wars, but you realize Dune came before Star Wars, just saying. But yeah, I really like this, and it's, again, subtle, modern, but gives you a certain feel which fits very much with this sect of people, if you know what they're up to. Okay, finally, Quinn is super excited, and because of that, I am hyped. So his channel basically covers lots of science fiction, fantasy, lots of built up worlds and things. So he covers Dune a lot. He's a huge fan. He read them way more than I have. The fact that he's so hyped and really likes the images from this movie so far, it gets me going, man. It gets me going. I can't wait for it. So hopefully we're going to see it this year. I hope it's not delayed because of, you know what. Either way, I will be there opening night, and I hope you will be too. Thank you all for watching. It's a blah. Comments, responding to them all. Subscribe, like, that's it. That's the one. That's it.
See ya.